All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Monday, April 21st. We have 8 games on today's MLB slate like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. All right, so we don't have a recap from last night. We took a rare, which is rare for us, an off day with his family and whatnot for Sunday. So yeah, we did have 8 plays on Saturday night. We went 4-4, so lost a little bit off the top, but again, no recap from yesterday, so no graphic for that. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's slate. Guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Really do appreciate the heck out of you guys. We're starting off with a really early game. This is very early considering. I think it's at like, 11:30 a.m., maybe a little bit earlier than that. But Red Sox taking on the White Sox here. Walker Buehler on the bump for the Red Sox, going up against Jonathan Cannon here for the White Sox. Overall, Cannon has had kind of a mixed bag of starts so far this year. He's had one bad one, and then 2 decent outings from him. Going up against Walker Buehler, who you can't help but say the same thing. Now, I will say Walker Buehler looked pretty poor in his first couple starts. In his most recent starts, he's actually looked okay. He pitched okay against Toronto, right? And pitched well against Tampa Bay as well. So maybe we do have a Walker Buehler that is coming into form that can kind of look like what we all expected and think and thought Walker Buehler is/was, right? So I do think that this is a spot for the Red Sox, but no kidding. I mean, take a peek at what we're looking at from the line perspective, right? -305 for the money line. I don't love taking a favorite, at the -1.5 on the run line either. And even in this case, -140, that seems a little bit too expensive. And the reason I don't like that is because we often see teams up by like 1 heading into the 9th, and that home team doesn't get their last at bat. So that's already value off the board in my dumb brain, right? So this is a Red Sox spot, but maybe some sort of a parlay throw-in or something like that. If you do like them on the run line, sure, I think that they can get up early in this one and win it. I mean, they're coming off of a game in which yesterday they kind of let slip through their fingers, right? So either they split this series if they lose this one, or they win this series against one of the worst teams in the league by winning this game. So I think that the Red Sox do come out with a little bit of determination and whatnot, you know what I mean? Or at least they should, we can say. From a total perspective, it's sitting at 9. The Red Sox team total over is definitely something that I've considered here this morning. Now, right now, it's, for 4.5, you're looking at -160. That asking for 5 runs to a Red Sox team that's only averaged 4.5 runs so far this year, and they've scored just 4 runs in 2 of the 3 games thus far. That's a little dicey and a little expensive, but that might be where we go. I think that they can score 5 runs, and honestly, if you like them -1.5, pay a little bit more juice and just go for the 5 runs, because what if they win this one like 5-4 or something like that, right? So I lean Red Sox team total over, but again, it's almost like if you like any sort of spot in this one, you've lost all value, I guess, in a sense. One thing that I'm considering from the player prop perspective, and it's really the only thing that I'm kind of eyeing right now, it's going to be Walker Buehler over 4.5 strikeouts. He does throw a ton of fastballs. That's not necessarily a strikeout pitch, but I do like the idea of the cutter, sinker, and slider being his next pitches. And what he's been really good at this year, he has a chase percentage here, so a chase rate, meaning guys swing at his pitches outside of the zone, 33%. Doesn't have a big swing and miss number, so that's a little worrisome, but this is a White Sox team that will chase and will obviously, swing and miss more so than a lot of other lineups, right? They're striking out, I think, the 10th most time so far to start the season. So for him, -110 over 4.5 strikeouts, I'm considering it. But again, this probably isn't my favorite spot on the board today. And this matchup isn't my favorite spot to keep digging and hoping we find gold. Next up, we have Cleveland taking on New York. Gavin Williams on the mound for Cleveland. He's going up against Clark Schmidt, making his second start here for the Yankees. In his first start against Kansas City, 5 2/3, 3 earned runs, 2 strikeouts, 2 walks. Nothing crazy, but he only pitched 12 pitches per inning, which is pretty damn good. Williams has had I would say a good year. Up until his last game, he had been looking pretty damn good. And even with that last game, some of his numbers still look very good. And his home starts this year look very good as well. I think he only has 1 or 2 home starts out of the 4. But nonetheless, I can see why this Cleveland team is, essentially a pick 'em with the Yankees right now. I don't know if I fully agree with it. I still think that this Yankees lineup is far superior to what we're seeing offensively from the guards here. Now, the Guardians have kind of struggled just lately, but they'll have these one big games every now and then. It's almost like people forget, like they scored 10 runs in game 1 against Pittsburgh in their last series, and then they go 3 and 5. 5, I'll give them credit for, but, 3 runs, it's like, yeah, that was against Paul Skeens, so albeit there's some context there. But point being is that I think we are looking at a Yankees team that is a better offense. And yes, they had a 1-run game against Tampa Bay, but the other games 4, 8, and 8, a little bit more consistency outside of them. For -110 right now, in fact, are those the most updated odds here? -120, so it is moving that direction. That makes sense to me. For the better team, now do they have the better bullpen? I don't necessarily agree with that. Their bullpen's pretty damn taxed as well, but if you look at Cleveland's bullpen, it's arguably more taxed, if anything, bare minimum, just as taxed as the Yankees. So if you have a taxed bullpen pitching against this Yankee squad, I do think that the Yankees are going to have the late inning advantages. Yankees money line for me in this one. In terms of numbers against Smith and Williams, but we'll start with Williams. Small sample size, but they are batting .267 against him with a WOBA of 426, slugging of 573. Clark Schmidt, you can make the exact same argument that he's not exactly in the best spot. 43 plate appearances against a relatively small-ish sample size, an average against a 359, a WOBA of over 400, and a slugging of nearly 500. So, yes, both guys aren't exactly in this prime position to go up against these offenses. So I'll lean Yankees team total over, and then I'll also take a peek there at the Yankees money line. Again, not to beat a dead horse here, but to me, you're still just getting a Yankees squad that I think is better offensively at a price that is pretty much saying this is a toss-up, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think it's a Yankees team, when push comes to shove, they'll be able to get the big hits and big outs. Player prop that we're considering. Going back and forth on this one because we've cashed a couple times with him, but he's a big guy, and with one swing of the bat, he can kind of ruin it. But I don't mind the idea of Nolan Jones here under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Against the cutter, he really does struggle. He's batting just with a WOBA here of 108, and he has a K rate of 60%. The slider he strikes out a lot against, I guess, but ultimately, then he goes slider, curve, and then sinker. Those are all pitches that he does hit fairly well, so Schmidt's pitch mix, only that number 1 pitch, which is by far and away his number 1 pitch, is the good one here. So, yes, like I said, that's a little worrisome, but ultimately I do still think that this might be a spot in which we're able to get to from a player prop perspective. The slider, even though he hits it fairly well with a WOBA and whatnot, not exactly a power pitch for him. So even if Nolan Jones does get a pitch that he likes, and he does get the ability to get a hit, that doesn't kill an under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs for him. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's the direction we're going to lean in. We'll keep it there in terms of one player prop that we're liking. But Yankees money line, probably still something that we're considering. They are on the road. That affects them, but I just think you're getting the better offense. I might look like an idiot tomorrow, and it's like, Cleveland wins 21-3, and I'm like, who's the better offense? Clearly Cleveland. All right, real quick, guys, before we do move on, I want to talk to you about Sleeper. They got a couple things to talk about here, actually. First off, a Robbie Ray 0.5 outs line. All he has to do is be pitching and record an out. Not a strikeout, nothing like that. He can get a ground ball to third base, nice toss over to first for the out, and that cashes for you. New customers are getting that. New customers are also getting a deposit match up to $100, 100 smackarooskies. What a word. Guys, this is their OG deal. They're bringing it back. Absolute no-brainer. You put in $100, they're going to say, hey, we'll match it. Here's another $100. You put in 50, boom, here's 50. It's really, really cool. And Sleeper in general is a very, very cool app in terms of their picks platform. Each and every play you throw in changes the multiplier dynamically, so they don't follow that fixed payout structure that a lot of other apps do. And what I like about them is that they have pretty much every single square you can imagine and every single stat projection. So I know a lot of the times we'll see something online and be like, oh, I want to go tail that on another app. And you're like, oh, they don't even have that one available because it's been bumped or removed, right? Sleeper will have that with the alternate lines and with the plethora of plays they have on there. So go ahead and check it out. That link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment, or sign up using code GUYBOSTON. You'll get all of those goodies. Again, I do really like Sleeper. If you don't try it out and it's available in your state, I think you will regret it. And go take advantage of this deal, their OG deal, a deposit match up to $100. All right, Miami taking on Cincinnati. I believe this is going to be a final play, so I would expect it in the final plays there. But I like the first 5 under 4.5. So a couple of reasons why, and we'll use the dashboard just to kind of show you rather than me having to tell you, I guess. So this is our dashboard. I'll explain just a little bit in the video how to get access to our dashboard each and every day, in which you get each and every game broken out in a visual format, so it helps you speed up and optimize your research process. But what I'm looking at here is, okay, game number 3. We have Cincinnati and Miami, right? Max Meyer and Lodolo. First and foremost, what I love to see here is both of these guys have pretty decent ground ball to fly ball rates, which is something that we're looking for sure. Same thing with chase percentage, so we're not going to get a lot of guys on base in terms of walks. A higher chase percentage, I already talked about it, right? We're going to see a lot more swings and swings at balls outside of the zone, so not necessarily quality pitches. But over here, both offenses from a ground ball to fastball, fly ball rate, also hitting a decent amount of ground balls. The 11th most ground ball to fly ball rate in terms of Cincinnati, and then 3rd in terms of ground ball to fly ball. Now, these are red in our dashboard because it's saying more ground balls. I will say, if you're using this and you see red, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. You have teams, even the Phillies hit a lot of ground balls, but they score a lot of runs. So red just means more ground balls. If it was green, it means that they hit the ball, in the air a little bit more. So I do kind of want to make, I guess, that clear, that like red doesn't necessarily mean, oh, that's a bad offensive trait. But ultimately, it doesn't necessarily contribute to power or runs as much, right? So that's why we kind of put it in there. But ultimately, that is what we're... How many times have I said ultimately? I feel like a bunch. But ultimately, that's... Just did it again. That's what we're looking at here. Ground ball to fly ball, ground ball to fly ball. I love the chase rate. And if we look at Lodolo and Max Meyer, both of these guys have been cashing first 5 this season a ton. Now, these teams, not exactly so much, I will say that. But I like the spot here today for this one. Now, the weather isn't going to matter. It's in a dome, but ultimately, is going to be perfect conditions. So sure, we could get burned because there's no winds or anything like that, which a lot of the times if we have winds blowing in at the batter's face can help these first 5 unders. But let's just keep the balls on the ground here and make some outs, and we'll get through 5 innings. Under 4.5 for the first 5. If we pick a side here, I think I would look at Miami, but this Reds offense, I kind of give a little bit of an edge ultimately, so I get it if you're on the red side of things, but Miami at the plus right now, plus 113 is what you're looking at. I think that that's just a fair number. I mean, they're coming off a good win against Philadelphia. Good for them. I mean, Luzardo pitched okay too, right? I think all of couple of their runs came late and then in extra innings, so it's not like they played phenomenally, but maybe there's a little momentum behind them, right? And you throw in the fact that Cincinnati's coming off of a hard-fought series against Baltimore, but what'd they just do yesterday? Oh, they scored 24 runs. You're telling me that's not a false flat spot the next time out? You go from Baltimore down to Miami, play the next day, you just scored 24 freaking runs. To me, that's a spot in which it's like, okay, here we go, fall flat, back on our face. So for the plus money, if these odds were reversed, I would say, yeah, maybe because it's a toss-up, Cincinnati's my side. But I think both of these squads are fairly evenly matched right now. I mean, it's tough to say that after the Reds offense maybe looks like it's kicking it into gear. But ultimately, I think that, for plus money, this is a Miami spot. Total sitting at 8. I like the under again because I think the Reds are going to have a tough time scoring today because of yesterday. A lot of people might come in here and be like, well, they scored 20 plus runs. Maybe their offense is just hot right now. And that is a valid point. Like, yes, we're taking a first 5 under. Yes, we're leaning towards the under. It's just as much of a chance, I guess, that they could be like, hey, we're hot. We're seeing the ball well. But I kind of like the contrarian idea that they kind of end up falling flat in a sense. You know what I mean? So that is what we're going to be rolling with. First 5 under being what we'd probably or ultimately are, said ultimately again, prioritizing in this spot. In terms of a player prop, I do not mind Jaime Candelario here, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Paying a lot of juice over on MGM at minus 165. But, guys, this is minus 175 on DK, minus 180 on other books. So, yes, it's a decent amount of juice. If we can get it any better, I'll keep an eye on that MGM one. I think I've seen it, bounce around almost down to minus 160. It's a lot of juice, but there's still 20 cents of value compared to other books. So, a lot of the times, that's something that we're considering as well. So, Jaime Candelario there, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. All right, Detroit taking on San Diego. We are still waiting to see who is pitching confirmed for Detroit. I've seen a couple different things. Kiter Montero. Then I've also seen Jack Flaherty's name thrown out there. So we'll keep an eye on that. As of right now, I guess we'll just trust what RotoWire is telling us, and it is Jack Flaherty. But either way, I don't necessarily love the San Diego side of things due to the fact that it's Randy Vasquez, who ultimately to me has looked phenomenal this year. I get it, but he's still one of those names, and I'm sure you guys, in fact, let me know in the comments if you guys have a guy like this, pitching-wise specific, or I guess could be in any sport, right? A guy in which you're like, yeah, I guess his numbers are speaking really good, but the last year or the year before, that type of thing, it almost is like scarring in the fact that you just feel like you can't trust him whatsoever. Randy Vasquez is one of those guys for me where I'm like, yeah, wow, his numbers are crazy good this year, right? I mean, he has an ERA of like 1.7. His whip's normal. I shouldn't say crazy good, but crazy good in terms of how much I do not like him compared to what he's actually producing. That's probably a better way of putting it. But I sit there and I'm like, why do I not like this guy so much? And it's just because of like like last year in particular, I feel like we could never really trust him on the mound for, I guess for any extent of time. So yeah, it's weird, right? Because he's having a good year. I would say pitching advantage San Diego, especially if it's Kiter Montero. But again, it may be Jack Flaherty today. So yeah, let me know in the comments. Is there anyone that you guys have that's kind of like that? Randy Vasquez is that for me. Ultimately, what I would do in looking at this one, I would probably still say San Diego is the side that I like. They're coming off of a meh series against Houston, but what I like, speaking of the contrarian mindset, is they're due for some positive regression. Last 5 games, 1, 4, 4, 2, and 3 runs scored, right? Like they are clearly due for a little bit more of a bounce back spot, and whether it's Flaherty or Montero today, they're going to see a righty, and they do hit righties really well. Number 1 in terms of average, number 5 in terms of WRC plus, which is obviously we like to see. Number 5 in terms of slugging, on base percentage, they're number 1 in the league. OPS number 3, so regardless of who's pitching against them, I do like the spot, but I may pivot a tad towards the idea of their team total over because I just feel like I just can't get behind Randy Vasquez for whatever reason. So over 3.5 in terms of runs today, it would be what I'm considering. They are on the road, and we've said this a couple times, and it's helped us stay off of it. So on the season, they've cashed in 64% of the games. They've scored at least 4 runs, right? On the road, that drops down to just 4 of 9, 44%. So obviously, there is a little bit of, a difference there in terms of them at home versus on the road. But we have, over 60, degrees today. Looks like just wind blowing right to left. So nothing that's really all that crazy to me. I think I do like San Diego to go out there and score 4 runs, even though they do struggle a little bit on the road, kind of like the spot today. And again, they're going up against a righty regardless of which starter gets confirmed. So yeah, San Diego team total over. I guess I do lean San Diego money line, but it's almost like your guess is as good as mine in terms of what we're going to get out of our man Randy Vasquez there. Because I'll tell you right now, he's pitching well, but I think at some point the wheels do fall off for him. I just have to imagine that's the case. So yeah, Randy Vasquez, sure. Go do your thing. It'll only help us because I think that we could still get 4 runs regardless, but I don't know if I'm fully behind him. San Diego team total over is what I'm looking at more so. All right, I showed you the dashboard a little while ago. If you guys want access to the dashboard, head over to GuyBostonSports.com. It's also the link with the final plays in the pinned comment. And then right up here, top right, it'll look a little bit different on mobile, but go check it out on the computer. It probably looks a little bit better too with all the information that you'll get. But you head over to the members area. You go dashboard, MLB dashboard. You can do NBA too if you need to. This is what you'll see. It says, hey, we need a membership, right? Well, if you view the membership levels, you'll see we have multiple membership levels. You get the all sports, meaning you get NBA and MLB right now for $6.99 a month. Or you can just do MLB if you do really want just the MLB dashboard. That's $4.99 per month. Now, if you want to take a peek at what the dashboard looks like, I'll set this as our logged in view. So if you do already have an account or if you're about to get one, you'll know what it looks like. So you come in, this is the exact same page, right? Members, you click MLB dashboard, boom. Now we're logged in, so you see this. You can open up this dashboard and you get every single game broken out like this. You can print it out. You can download this. I like to print it out and make notes on it sometimes. I don't know, maybe it's just like the old school vibes, but you could see here we get pitcher data, we have bullpen data, more pitcher data in terms of pitch mix, then batting overall, batting against the hand that they're seeing, right-handed away, left-handed home, it auto updates like that. You have team batting versus specific pitches, so you could see right here, change up, fastball, that type of thing, and then also player data in terms of per pitch against that hand, OPS against that hand, some really powerful stuff here, guys. This is being updated from a bunch of different sites out there, so it saves you and me time. I do a lot of it manually in the morning, but we also have some stuff automated, but realistically, this saves everybody a ton of time if you're using it, because you don't have to go to 7, 8 different sites to find one sort of streamline of what you're looking for. Everything is already built into it. So yeah, check it out, guys. If you do, again, want to become a member, GuyBostonSports.com, head over to members and click MLB dashboard, or just click members. It's going to take you there. You'll figure out a way to get to the membership. It's pretty intuitive once you get there. So go ahead and check it out, guys. Again, that link will be down below taking you to the final plays, but it's this website as well. Just click that members area. All right, New York taking on Philadelphia. Tyler McGill on the mound for the Mets. He's been pretty good, right? I mean, this season, he's got a 1.4 ERA, a FIP of just 2.2, expected FIP, though, of 3.4, so a little bit higher, but still nothing terrible. Going up against Aaron Nola, who I would not say has been fantastic. He has 4 starts under his belt. His ERA right now sitting at nearly 7. Against lefties, he's really struggled. That's a good thing, I guess, today. There's not a ton of lefties in the lineup for the Mets, but Lindor's going to be batting from the left side. Soto's a lefty. Nimmo's a lefty. So the guys that are lefties, and those not a ton, it could still be a little worrisome, right? And Lindor does bat lefties really well. Righties really well when he's batting from the left side. So just take that into consideration because Nola may not be primed to have a good day, but I will say that I think this Philly team is primed to have a pretty decent day against Tyler McGill, who has been very good, but I expect a tiny bit of regression. And the only reason I do really like it is, well, first and foremost, he's going to throw a ton of fastballs. He also throws a lot of sinkers. That makes up nearly 67% of his pitches, the fastball and sinker. Those are the 2 best pitches right now that Philadelphia is hitting. So Philadelphia expect to kind of get things back into gear here. They did win that series against Miami, but over the last 10 games, they're just kind of like playing 50-50 baseball, right? They have struggled on the road a little bit. They have a worse road record than they do home record. On the year, they've won 59% of the games. On the road, just 44%. So worth considering, but where has the offense looked poor, right? I would say in the last 6 games, their offense has looked pretty good, and the Mets offense, on the other hand, is super, super inconsistent. Now, they scored 7 runs yesterday against St. Louis. Okay, I give them a little bit of credit, but before that, 3-5, 4-3, 1-5, 8 against the Athletics. Okay, great, but before that, 1 run. It's like very, very much so inconsistent, I would say. So I think Philadelphia's offense gets it done today. Aaron Nola is the little bit of the wild card, but he does throw enough pitches, the fastball, the sinker, the changeup. It's not like the Mets are really crushing anything. So my only worry about Aaron Nola would be the fact that he's going to see a few bats batting from the side that hit righties well. That's scary. To the same point, he's seen this roster a ton. 312 plate appearances against in his career. His numbers are as mediocre as it comes. 253 expected batting average against, expected WOBA 350, K rate of 24, walk rate is a little high at 11.5, and this is a Mets team, that kind of doesn't really walk all that much. So I'm willing to say that is not the worst thing for him, but still just note that is a pretty damn high walk rate, right? So ultimately, this is going to be a spot which I say Philadelphia, kind of trusting Aaron Nola. I want to also get to the idea of Philly team total over, right? I think that they've been super consistent and whatnot, but right now, 4.5 for plus 140. I can't really deny that. I think that's a good spot, but 3.5 minus 120. Again, comes down to, and what we talked about even with the San Diego Padres, right? It's like, well, kind of hate the fact that they are on the road. This is a team that, especially, just looking at Philadelphia here, this season, in terms of their over 3.5, they crushed at 15 of 22 games, but only 5 of 9. In their last 2 of their last 3 road games, they scored 0 runs. So makes it a little bit tough to love them on the road, right? But again, they're going to see a lot of fastballs, a lot of cutters. I think that they could put up a decent number today. In terms of what we have we didn't even really mention weather. You do have a slight chance of precipitation. It's like 55 degrees with a little bit of wind blowing right to left. So not exactly the worst, but I wouldn't say it's going to help or hurt runs in this one. That right to left, I think, might matter in terms of Citi Field, but ultimately the cold is probably the biggest deal here. So maybe that keeps us off it, just maybe. All right, next one up here, we have Atlanta taking on St. Louis. Swellenbach on the mound for the Braves, going up against Eric Fetty for the St. Louis team. Now, did I say Atlanta? Yeah, Atlanta going up St. Louis. I thought I said Atlanta going up against the Braves, but I think I got it right. We'll have to watch that one back. Ultimately, there's a clear, I guess, advantage via the line towards the Braves. Maybe it's because you could make the argument that finally this offense is starting to look somewhat capable, and St. Louis's offense, though they started the season really well, they've tapered off to some degree for sure. Now, they've gone Philadelphia, Houston, Mets. Not like they've had the easiest schedule. Atlanta's gone Tampa Bay, Toronto, Minnesota. I would say that's a little bit easier. Schwellenbach not exactly having the best of seasons. I mean, after a couple starts, you thought he was going to be filthy, right? And then he gets tagged by Toronto. St. Louis, Eric Fetty had that one bad outing against Boston. Other than that, the dude's been pretty damn good. So I don't know. I don't really understand this price. I think by default and looking at it, I do say, okay, well, I'm going to lean towards St. Louis, but I don't know if I want to really trust Fetty overall. Like, some of his numbers, especially on the road this year, look pretty damn poor, and if that coincides with what we're getting out of, Atlanta's offense right now, this might just be a spot in which I say, hey, let's go take the over, because I do think St. Louis, their offense will be okay, especially against a righty. They're going to see a lot of fastballs. They like to hit the fastball. He also throws a splitter. They like to hit the splitter. Schwellenbach has a big pitch mix, like 6 or 7 pitches. But on the other side of things, we have a lot of sinkers out of Fetty, but he's not keeping the ball on the ground. So he's throwing a lot of sinkers that are getting hit into the air, which obviously isn't necessarily a great situation. So to me, it's like maybe just an over. Instead of saying, okay, well, let's back Fetty, why don't we just say, hey, both offenses go do your thing. Fetty, maybe he will pitch well, but the Braves offense is kind of kicking into gear, and I do think Schwellenbach is due for a little bit of regression, because like I said, he was looking really good, and then his last time out, 4 2/3, 6 hits, 6 earned run, 2 home runs, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks against Toronto. St. Louis may be able to do something similar to him, so over is probably where I'd go here, but if I had to make a money line side play here, for whatever reason, I think St. Louis, I think this is going to be a little bit more of a close game than you'd think. And if you're getting plus 180 compared to the minus 180, that minus 180 just is not computing in my brain. But again, I've been wrong before. In terms of what we have from player props here, I believe we had a couple noted. Jared Kelenic here, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, solely based on the pitch mix and him not really playing all that well, but he doesn't hit the sinker well, and I just talked about how that is Fetty's number 1 pitch, so that's what I'm thinking about. And then Alec Burleson on the other side of things, same thing, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. He does not hit the slider well or the splitter well. Those are the number 2 and 3 pitches from Schwellenbach. Now, Schwellenbach's with a ton of fastballs. He hits the fastball okay, strikes out a little bit more against it, but ultimately both of those player props being spots that I'm considering haven't necessarily got to the let's really lock it in type point yet, though. All right, Houston taking on Toronto. Right now we have Hunter Brown as the starter as well as Kevin Gausman. I don't know if they're confirmed yet, but either way, if that's what we're going to get, I think we do have two pretty damn good pitchers going up against one another here. Right now, Hunter Brown's got a 1.5 ERA with a whip of 0.83, which is obviously very, very good. And then Kevin Gausman, 0.71 whip with a ERA of 2.4. So obviously 2 studs on the bump here for both squads. And they also have decent numbers against the current rosters that they're going up against. We'll start with Hunter Brown, the home pitcher, 33 plate appearance, so a little bit low of a number in terms of a sample size, but 24.2% K rate, 3% walk rate, expected batting average against of 214, expected slugging 387, and expected WOBA just 269. Flip it over to Gausman, 85 plate appearance. So now we're talking, we do have a pretty good sample size, right? 48.2% K rate, just a 3.5% walk rate, expected batting average against of 154, expected slugging 282, and an expected WOBA down at 216. What are we going to do here? Let's back both of these mother effers. I like the first 5 under. I also don't mind the full game under because I think both these bullpens are pretty good as well. Toronto's bullpen, not really any of the high leverage arms have really had to go, so they should be okay. Houston's bullpen, though, a little taxed over the last 3 or 4 days. I'd say the last 3 days, so maybe that's a little bit of a concern ultimately, right? So that's why the first 5 is probably what we'd look at. Under 4.5 right now for minus 140. I think that's plenty of value ultimately. It's minus 150 on DraftKings, minus 155 on ESPN. Right now, minus 140 on 44 on FanDuel, minus 145 over on MGM. So yeah, I kind of like the spot here for the first 5 under. I also am considering a little potential look at Blue Jays money line. I like Gausman. I think he's a guy worth backing, and this team just lost 2 straight games to Seattle. They should be bouncing back, right? Whereas Houston maybe kind of sitting there on their high horse, taking 2 games against San Diego, in which one of those wins, it was just, honestly, taking 2 games was because San Diego's offense stunk that entire series, right? So kind of like the spot here. And as good as Hunter Brown is, and his numbers are phenomenal, he's had 2 straight games of pitching 6 innings, keeping it 4 or less hits, 0 earned runs there. At some point, that dam breaks, right? Whereas Gausman's had to kind of battle. His last time out, you thought it might be a little dicey. 6 innings pitched, though, 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts, 0 walks. The 2 earned runs were the 2 strikeouts. That's what I mean by kind of dicey. I would almost rather that than the guy that's just 2 straight games of 0 earned runs. Like, at some point, that has to fail, right? They won that game against St. Louis last time he pitched 2-0. He did not get much run support overall. So, yeah, I think that this is going to be, in fact, in 3 of his 4 starts so far. 3 of his 4 starts, they've given him 2 or less runs in terms of run support. I think Toronto could be a play here, but the first 5 under is definitely probably something. I say definitely at the top of my list. We can stake that one on the ground. I think that's going to be a good spot. Another spot, in terms of player props here, Yanier Diaz, I like his under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. He hits the fastball well. He doesn't hit righties well, and Gosman's good against the right-handed bats. Again, he does hit the fastball well, but the splitter and the slider being his next couple pitches that he'll see from Gosman should be pretty damn good. So, yeah, I'm okay with kind of taking the chance on the fastball. Hopefully Gosman keeps that thing down and, forces ground balls out of him, because this Houston team will hit a ton of ground balls. So I like his under as well. So a decent amount of potential plays in this one. None that I've mentioned kind of overtake the idea of the first 5 under. That's still my main one, but I do like the idea of Jays, and I also kind of like the idea of Diaz in his under. All right, last game here. As a reminder, Sleeper does have the free pick for Robbie Ray here. Again, you get that 100% of your first deposit matched up to $100 as well. So go ahead and make sure to check that out. But we got San Fran taking on Milwaukee. Quinn Priester on the mound going up against Robbie Ray. Like we mentioned, Quinn Priester, I didn't like, a year ago when he was pitching for Pittsburgh, but kind of really liked what I've seen out of him now just in a few starts, right? So far this season, he's 1-0 with a .9 ERA, just 2 starts under his belt, like I mentioned. Detroit, Colorado, okay, Colorado, it was in Colorado, so I give him a little credit there. Detroit, though, I think was a very good outing, right? Like, we're learning that Detroit offense is pretty good. He went 5 innings of 1-hit baseball, 4 strikeouts, did allow 3 guys on base via walk, so that's worth noting, but 0 earned runs. In terms of what we'll get out of him from pitches, is going to be a lot of sinkers. San Francisco does hit the sinker pretty well. He is a righty. They do hit the right-handed bat. They bat against righties pretty well, so that starts to worry me ultimately, but I think that's going to be a spot in which he does keep the game at least low scoring, so I'm going to lean towards the under. Robbie Ray, on the other hand, as good as he has been, I don't know if we can necessarily say that his season's been all that great, right? Like, he's had some good looks, some kind of mad looks. I think he's almost like, if we were weigh it, it's like 50% of his starts so far, or I should say 50% of his innings, that might be a better way of putting it, have looked good. 50% of his innings have looked you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying terrible. He doesn't have a blow-up start yet. You could say that Philadelphia potentially, but ultimately that was just via a lot of walks, and I don't think that's going to be a problem, moving forward. It's like 2 starts in a row that he just walked the crap out of guys, but I just can't expect him to keep doing that, right? But ultimately, I guess what I'm saying is that both these guys may be able to pitch fairly well, and I buried the lead here. Robbie Ray's a lefty that throws fastballs. Quite literally a perfect situation for a pitcher to pitch well against Milwaukee. They're worse against lefties, and they're the 7th worst team in terms of runs above average hitting the fastball. So, yeah, I think that this could be a spot for less runs. Your guess is as good as mine in terms of who squeaks this one out. I think it's going to be a game that's like 4-3, but I don't know exactly which team goes out there and does it. So, for the money at plus 120-ish, Milwaukee side of things, I guess I'll lean in that direction. But again, I think Robbie Ray could actually have maybe one of his better starts so far this season, similar to when he pitched against Seattle, and he went 6 innings, just 1 earned run, right? But he did allow a ton of walks in that one as well. I'm thinking that this is a spot in which he doesn't walk as many guys. For example, just to use this, ready? Milwaukee, when they're on the road this year, they have a 7.2% walk rate. That's 7th worst in baseball. So I don't think Robbie Ray is going to come out here and just walk the crap out of them. I will say he's boasting a 20+% walk rate as a pitcher at home this year. So take that information and do with it what you will. I'm going to lean under, and I'll also say Milwaukee just due to the fact that I think that's going to be a messy, low-scoring game, and, either team could just get a big hit or, someone walks someone and that type of thing. I think this could be a messy one, but not necessarily messy in the sense that pitching's messy. It's more so just a low-scoring game. So give me Milwaukee as well as, like I said, the under. In terms of player props, I don't believe we had one here, but why don't I double-check? Lamonte Wade under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I kind of have, that's just based on the fact that 1, Robbie Ray is good against, Quinn Priester is good against lefties, and 2, Wade's kind of sucked so far this year. But the pitch mix stuff doesn't fully check out. I will mention that, but ultimately that's just kind of like a half-foot in play right now. We haven't really done our due diligence on it. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. If you did, you know exactly what to do. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.